Hi, I'm Allan Morris from Johnstone, and today I'm going to show you how we butcher a whole line of beef. So we're going to take you through from the rump, the strip loin, the ribeye and the tenderloin, and I'm going to show you some tricks of what you can do to make great tasting beef in your restaurant. When we talk about dry age is a product, people assume that we hang meat in the fridge until it goes black and then that's dry aged. But the reality is that first of all you must dry age beef from fresh, so 2-3 days after slaughter, and then hang it into your fridge. But your fridge must have a number of things. It must have the correct airflow, it must have the correct temperature, and it must have the correct humidity. Because if you don't have that, what you have is you actually rot the meat.
Yeah.
So in essence, yes, we are rotting the meat, but in a controlled environment is what we do when we dry age. So if you can see here on this side, when I pull the tenderloin out, you'll see the colour of the meat changes drastically. You get a beautiful deep purple colour on the meat, and you can see it there. It changes very distinctly. And also, if you look, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on here at all. Very much falling from the beef. The beef here at the moment, although when I feel it now, it's probably about 7 degrees, I'd say. So that has a factor to play at this moment in time. But when we dry age the beef, we always have a very low temperature. Low temperature, and then from a bacteria point of view, it keeps the bacteria level low. You can see what I'm doing here at the bones. You can see each bone has a cartilage button here, okay? And within that, there's some soft meat. If you see here, this is bone, and this is soft meat. Bone, soft meat. If, for instance, that we're not in control of the knife can penetrate in between these bones here. And what that can do is scar the strip loin, okay? So we don't want to scar the strip loin. We want to keep it very, very much the meat intact. You can see the white part of the bone where I've kept the knife against the bone here. Yeah. Okay, but I'm not gone into the flesh itself. Okay, so if you watch what I'm doing here now, I'm actually feeling for the bone, and then I'm just gently coming down the bone. If we see the tenderloin now, where I've taken the tenderloin out, the white pieces of meat that we have here is where the meat was on the bone. You can see the color here at the end. We have the dry aged dark meat here, but then if we look at the flesh here, it's very soft, dark, ruby color. Really, really nice. Okay, we can see the tenderloin now. If you notice from this tenderloin here, we've got a lot of fat on here still, a lot of fat channel here, and this is the chain. This is the part that's connected to the bone. Okay, now people have said to me many, many years, you can't dry age fillets, and why do you dry age fillets and it doesn't add to anything, and you don't do it. We're able to do it because we look at how much fat that we leave on the internal side of the animal. So this protects the tenderloin while it's dry aging, okay? Now, this beef is 3 weeks old, and you can see how soft it is, okay? We have a little bit of skin here, but it's very, very soft. And as I trim this chain and skin off here, you'll see that we'll expose the meat and we'll see the color that comes from there. I choose specific animals. I'm not a breed guy, so you'll never hear me say Angus is the best or Hereford is the best. You'll never hear me say that. What you will hear me say is that I am looking for the best. So each individual animal is as different as the next. Some are bigger than others, some have more fat than others, some have more marbling than others. And where the skill comes in for me as a butcher is to make sure we identify which animal that is. I'm going to remove now the protective skin here. Okay, and as you can see me removing in here, I'm exposed. You can see that lovely flesh colour there now? Look at that, beautiful. Look at that lovely, beautiful colour. Yeah, so this skin here protects it, okay? Yeah. So if you looked at that tenderloin now, you would never know that that was dry aged, except you've been here and you've seen it being done. But it's when customers come to our factory and see it, it's the first time that their eyes are open of, oh wow, you really do dry age beef. Yes, we do. So again, we just remove the skin here. it's actually no good. And you know, a lot of times if you're buying chain on fillets from other beef companies from around the world, all of this remains, and you know, you can't eat this. Okay.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of chefs over the years say, oh, you know, I use it for my stock, or I use it for my demi-glaze, or...
You wouldn't do that?
Me? No, I mean, really the reality is if you pay $50 a kilo for tenderloins, you know, the chain, this is $50, okay? So my opinion on that is, that's a very expensive demi-glaze or a very expensive stock. So for me, you can buy cheaper stocks and cheaper demi-glaze than $50 a kilo.
Yeah.
Of course, okay? So for me, that doesn't work for me, okay?
Yeah.
So again, we're just going to peel off here the skin. And again, this is just a protective skin, which is natural to the animal. Again, just remove it. I'm going to turn this around this way to me. Again, just remove the fat. And again, it's about value for chefs these days, and food cost.
Yeah.
Food cost is very important for guys, you know, and it's the guys who don't understand food cost, it's the guys who don't make good business, because food cost is the biggest thing in our business that we need to control and manage. You're paying $50 for this. This is not $50 anymore. I spoke to a chef recently in Singapore, and we were talking about yield and cost. And he said, I haven't trimmed fillets myself in a long time, but I was trimming fillets the other day, and he said 40% was waste.
Really?
Yeah. So I said, do you mind me asking what you paid for them, chef? And he said, I paid $50 a kilo, and that's why I keep using the $50 because he buys in dollars. He said $50. And I said, well, chef, they're not $50 anymore. He said, no. He said, no, they're not. So really, the true cost was $85. So his tenderloin cost him $85. Albeit he paid $50 for it. But again, he got all of his trimming off there. From a yield point of view, it's $85, right? So again, just try and remove as much as we can of this skin here. And again, you'll expose that nice colour there underneath. Look, beautiful. Beautiful. And again, just nice and gently. A knife is an extension of my arm. I need to have a good knife to be able to do what I do. So, I mean, if you look at how thin I can cut that piece of meat, you know, you can do this with a good knife. It's important to have a good knife. For the whole day I've been here, I don't think you've seen me sharpen the knife once. You do it maybe once, twice, that's it per day. If you keep sharpening or beating a knife off a steel, you will take the edge off the knife, okay? So you don't want to do that. I haven't used a sharpener at all since I got here. When you see guys do this, boom, 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 playing the drums with a steel, you're making noise, okay? And I have lots of scars when I was a young kid, a young butcher, learning how to do this boom, 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 boom. So you can see all those white lines, they're all scars on my fingers from years of cutting myself, right? Playing the drums with a steel. It's rubbish, okay? This tenderloin now is ready. So if you look at this tenderloin for slicing, you can use all of this tenderloin. You know, we can take the tail off, and right up to here we have the Mittelstück, so we've got a right nice piece of tenderloin, and then even the head is ready to slice. And again, for a Chateaubriand, or again, slicing the steak, very, very simply. But that's what we would call a John Stone, kitchen ready tenderloin. Very, very simple. Very, very clean. And more importantly, from a kitchen yield and a kitchen cost, it's ready. Look how much waste we have. And that's a chain on fillet to a chain off fillet. So this is the difference in cost, okay? So it's quite a lot of waste, yeah? Tenderloin for me is if I use the word maybe, it's a starter drug, you know, for people who eat meat. And the first time to eat steak, they'll have a tenderloin because they hear fillet is the best. Not necessarily the best tasting, but they hear fillet is the best. So they'll go for tenderloin first initially to have the tenderloin. And as they progress, you'll find as people change their habits in beef, they start to move up to the more, let's say, tougher cuts of meat, where they know they get the maximum flavor, where they actually enjoy the flavor of beef. So if you asked many butchers what their favorite steak is, they're never going to tell you tenderloin. I don't know one butcher who says, I love tenderloin. It's generally a strip loin, a roast beef, or a ribeye. And preferably maybe one on the bone for that more flavor. So So that's my favorite steak. So what we've got left now is we've got the 8 rib loin. So we've got 5 bone ribeye, 3 bones in the roast beef, and then we've got the hoofed here. So when you think about this is the whole back of the animal. This is where the beef is coming from. Okay, so we've got up here at the hip, we've got the short line here, and then above that then we've got our ribeye. So all the cuts. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark the bone here. And here, as you can see, I'm not using a handsaw. I don't have a handsaw. I've got a knife. Okay, so if you're a good butcher, all you need is a small knife. Okay, so we're going to count 6 bones here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to mark it here. Okay.
Okay.
Just here on the bone here. Okay. These are all the cartilage of the spinal bone. So again, if I just mark here, this is where I'm going to make my cutting point. Okay. What I'm also going to do then is I'm going to cut in along the bone here and just mark it here. Okay, in here, and you can see that I'm just going to mark it there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack that bone, okay, which is the important part. So we put the knife down, I'm going to turn it onto the bone, okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut along this bone here. Okay, and I'm going to crack it now, okay? So the bone is here. Okay. So this is real old school stuff here now. In between the bones there, look at that. You see that? Easy. Look. No saw. Okay? When I hear guys saying, oh, can't do that because we've no saw, you don't need a saw, it's broken, completely broken, okay? Okay, and again, I've taken that off now, no saw. So this is our ribeye, bone in rib. What I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the rump or the hoofed off, okay? And again, no saw. We're going to take this off with the knife, okay? So again, down the cartilage bone here, just here, okay? Which is the thick part of the bone here. This is a T-shaped bone here, so this is the hip bone. Okay, so at the end here of the rump, and again I'm going to crack it. Okay, and you see that there? It's just popped right out. We've got no saw. Okay, so hooked, and then we have our loin. So this is our roast beef or strip loin. So our prime cuts here. So everybody knows this is a ribeye, but it's also known as a Scotch fillet. It's also known as an entrecôte. It's also known as a côte de boeuf. It's also known as a tomahawk. But essentially, it's the same product. The only difference is how long the bone is, or how short the bone is, or how much meat we take off. So this is the next item that I'm going to trim up, okay? So again, I haven't sharpened my knife at all. Simple. I'm just going to peel the rib cap off here. And again, very simple stuff. Look. And in fact, you could show off really, and you could do it with your fingers, you know? You really don't need anything else, okay? Very simple stuff here. Okay? This part here is the rib cap. So this is really, 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 really good for hamburgers. Okay? It's got great flavor.
Would you mix it?
You would.
With other parts?
Yeah, for me.
Burger patty?
Absolutely. For me, burger patty, best mix you could use is short rib or rib cap. It's got great flavor, great texture.
Yeah.
I would use some chuck, and I would use some brisket or brust. 3 parts. And the reason being is they've all got different flavors. And they've all got different textures. You would put this in because it's got great fat. It's from the shoulder. A lot of work going on there in the muscle. So it gives us great flavor. So we take that off, okay? What I'm doing here is I'm just peeling off this skin here to show you the meat underneath. Simple stuff. There's a little bit of grizzle here. Traditionally, you know, we'd have a butcher's block. And, you know, but here we are in a furniture showroom, you know. So, which is bizarre to say the least. Okay, so if you look at that rib cap now, you have a muscle there. Okay, there's one muscle there. So we cut that off there. That's one muscle. That's one muscle. And then we have the second muscle here. We'll cut this piece of fat off here. And again, if you smell that fat. Smell that there now. Pretty good, eh?
Yeah.
That's the stuff of dreams. Yeah, yeah. Great smell. Great smell. Have a little smell of that there. Great.
Wow.
Yeah? It's pretty good, isn't it?
Awesome.
Pretty good stuff. Okay?
I won't wash my hands for days now.
You can see the lovely meat fibers here, okay? So they're all going in this direction here. So ideally we'd want to cut across those fibers here so we get the right texture. If we cut it this way, okay, you're not going to get a stringy piece of meat. But it's important that we go across the fibers.
Yeah.
All right? So you would use this as a short rib, mid rib. So I cut along here. I'm just going to fold it out for you. Okay. You can see the lovely texture there. Look at that. Okay? Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay? I cut this piece off. If I cut it this way, it's very different. You see that? So the grain is running this direction. Okay? But really, what we want is we want it like this. Can you see that difference? Look how loose that meat is there compared to this. Tight muscles. Look. This is much better.
Yeah.
Okay, so soft.
So it's just because of the cutting.
It's just because of the cutting. Okay, and if we cook these two, this one tastes better than this one. Sometimes chefs would think that, you know, the easiest way to start is the biggest cut face. That's not always necessarily the case, okay? There's all individual muscles there. So we really got to identify the muscle, identify which way the grain is moving, and making sure we cut across that grain, okay? So I'm just going to take this small piece of rib cap off here again. So this is the end. Some people call it rib flap meat, okay? And I'm going to bring it over here for you. Okay, you can see the dry aging here, okay? But you can also see a small bone here, a cartilage bone here. This is the end of the feather blade or the flat iron.
Yeah.
So the end of the shoulder blade. Okay, just take a bit of fat off. Now you can see that lovely meat there. Look at the colour, okay? You can see the dark meat here. Then we see a green sort of hue. And then we see that nice dark rich purple meat here, okay? That's a sign of the aging process there. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the small blade bone here. On this side here, you can see the end of the bone here. I'm just going to remove that bone out. And then we have a nice piece of flat meat, okay? And you'll know when you see it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So this piece of bone, normally in fresh beef production, you can sell this. You can sell this to China. Okay, so we call this the moon bone because it looks like a quarter of a moon. And you can sell this to China. Okay, so it's cheap. Now, I'm going to trim off this bit of black meat here. And again, nice, just a beautiful, nice piece of meat. Quite soft, very, very tender. And again, if I just cut that meat fibre for you there to have a look at. If you look at that there now, beautiful, soft, loose texture. Okay, beautiful piece of meat. Okay, small but beautiful. But you can see which way the grain is going. It's going this way. Cut across them. What we've got now next to do is we've got to remove the paddywhack here, which is just along here. Okay, and this piece of meat is just a membrane that is a muscle that holds the neck of the animal. And again, you can't eat it. It's quite tough. It's a rubbery piece of meat, quite gelatinous texture. And again, what this is done in China, what they do is they cut it on the boy, and then they put it on yakitori sticks and they chew it as a snack. Okay, so that's the paddywhack. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to remove the ribeye from the bones. Okay. And if you think about this now, if we cut this spinal bone off here, okay, what we've got then is the cut above. Same thing again. Softly, we're going to go. You can see the knife. You can see my finger on the knife here. So always, for chefs, if you want to control a boning knife, it's important that you have your index finger on the bone, okay? Even at home, okay? And again, look, the knife is next to the bones. Not next to me, next to the bones. My hand is always away from it. Okay? And again, you can see my thumb. My thumb is going down here. Okay? Just all along the bones here. Look, simple.
So with the right technique, even my 3-year-old son could do that.
And it may be a safety glove for him, maybe. But you can see here, the bones are quite clean. So we've got the nice white bone here. And if you notice as well, as I said, which is important, the knife hasn't penetrated in between the bones there. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we haven't done that, okay, because we're keeping it just to these bones. Okay, so it's removed now. I'm gonna turn it now, this way. And then I'm gonna come along the back spinous bones here, or the feather bones. And a little tip here just to know, the older the animal gets, okay, the harder these tips get. They get ossified or ossification, okay? So when they're soft and white like this, it means it's a younger animal, okay? When they're hard and brittle and bone, it means it's an older animal, okay? Now our ribeye has separated away, and we're left with the bones, okay? So if we had a bandsaw, we would cut here, okay? And here's our beef ribs, okay? So you can see in between these bones, we have our beef rib, okay? Now, another really nice cut from this, if I just take another piece of paper, actually I won't, I'll put it there, okay? Another really nice piece of meat, okay? If we go in between the bones here, you know the saying, closer the meat, the sweeter the meat, okay? So I'm just gonna take these meat muscles out here, okay? 2. And again, close to the bone. 3. So it's just like a pork rib, you know, when you eat the meat in between the bones. Same thing, except it's beef. Great flavour. Okay, so the bone we're finished with, okay? So let's just put that there for the moment. Same again here, we'll take a little bit of dry edge off the top. Same here. Trim that bit of fat off. Now, these pieces of meat, slow cooked, with some mashed potatoes and a nice stew, and you're already smiling, right? Because you know exactly how good that's going to taste. Exactly. So, if you see here in the meat, you can see those white lines going across here. That's that nice marbling in there. Look how fatty and soft, gelatinous, sticky that will taste, yeah? So you can see that marbling there, okay? So 2 pieces of those for lunch with some mashed potatoes in the restaurant. Nice, yeah? Really nice. And you know what? It's what we call a second cut. It's a cheaper cut, but you know what? Great taste. And that's key. So slow cooked, a little bit of mash, a little bit of jus, a little bit of rosemary. Hey, I'm in, okay?
And so how many minutes,
I would say,
at which temperature?
I would cook them quite slow. Maybe 12 hours, 55.
Okay.
So, yeah, quite really slow, and they get really gelatinous and very soft and sticky. You know, that really sticky, great mouth taste, make great mouth texture. So if you look at what we've done here now, this is all from the rib. Look, this is all from the standing rib. All of these cuts are from the standing rib, okay? Now, we'll just trim this ribeye up now a little bit more, okay? So in the end here, we have a ribeye, okay? Now, we can see our black meat exposed here, and we've got none here. Now, for me, you'll get a lot of ribeyes, and it'll be sold like this, yeah? So for me, the tail is there, okay? And this is not, for me, this is not prime meat, okay? So again, for me at John Stone, we want to remove any of that there. Okay? You can see down there the natural seam, look. Literally all along the natural seam there. I'm going to cut. Okay? Look. And this would be commonly called the lip. L-I-P, okay?
Because of its...
It's because it's hanging on the end of a piece of prime meat, okay?
Okay.
We in the meat business we call things lots of names, but we don't really have a real reason for it. But it's a lip. Now, to be honest, let's just take a look at that, okay? And if we slice down the middle on there, so you can see that nice piece of meat there, okay? So, but it's got quite a thick piece of fat.
Yeah.
So for me, if this was sold to the customer in the restaurant, I think you're sort of cheating the customer a bit. It's just a bit of too much fat and a little bit too much grizzle. So again, we take it off. Again, it's good. It's a really nice piece of meat. It'd be good in hamburgers with the rib cap. Again, for a hamburger.
Yeah.
But not for prime steak, okay? Now, let's just now cut the face off this ribeye. Okay, so we can see the color here as well. You can see some of the black coming through there. But if I feel it on this side, you can actually see how hard it is, okay? But also on the other side then it's nice and soft. Dark, rich, purple color.
Nice fat.
Nice, beautiful, nice creamy fat on there. And if you see that, there's no juice. There's no blood running from the meat.
Yeah.
Very, very soft. Very, very nice piece of meat. So from a portioning point of view, again, we can cut a nice steak.
Which size do you prefer?
Me, I like a good 350 gram steak.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can see that there now. That's a beautiful, nice piece of ribeye. And again, this is waste, okay? So again, this is our ribeye, okay? And our derived cuts from our ribeye. I think we'll do the rump next. Traditionally, in a butcher shop many, many years ago, when you went for a rump steak, the butcher would cut it as you see here. Okay, so you get a piece of rump cap, you get a bit of the rump heart, you get a bit of the tri-tip as well, or the sirloin tail. So when you actually think about that, you've got so many different meat textures there and so many different muscles, but they're going to taste very, very different. So this part will be beautiful, this part's okay, this part not so good, and here, bad. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to strip it out into muscles. So very simply, it's a T-shaped bone, so if you can see that there, it's a T-shaped bone. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to come along here, under the bone, and then out the other side here, okay? Very simple stuff. So I'm going to turn it this way to me. So, in here. So again, the knife is always in here, next to the bone, right? So, keep it nice and tight all the time. And again, we don't want to damage any of the meat here. If the knife goes in here, it scars the meat. So we don't want to do that. We want to keep that whole solid there, okay?
And yet again, you didn't sharpen it.
No. Not bad, eh? Not bad. You think I would, you know? I don't. But you know what? When I do sharpen it next, it'll be like brand new again. So that's the other thing, okay? You can see here now. If I turn it this way, you can see inside. The meat is white here, the bone is white, and we haven't scarred any of the meat inside there, okay? Okay, you can see that now. I've opened it right up there now. And again, close to the bone, all the way down. Always close to the bone. You can see that now, I've removed all the bone. Now what we do is we start taking apart some muscles here. We're going to separate now the tri-tip from the rest of the body of the meat, okay? So. See a nice piece of core of fat there, look. We're going to remove all that out there. And across here at the muscle. See it there? Natural seam. Can you see that there now? It's where two muscles meet. You can see that, look. Simple. You see that there, look?
Yeah.
Natural, okay? So all along the natural seam, we're going to go there. Okay? And again. So this is our tri-tip now. Okay? So again, we can see the reason why it's called a tri-tip, very simple. Shape of a triangle. Okay. In the middle here, there's a big core of fat. So again, yeah. Now this for cooking, for rendering. Wow. This piece here, yeah. This piece here now for cooking is jackpot. Okay, you can see that now in there. That tastes amazing. Flavor. Have a sniff. Yeah? Nice, eh?
I like that.
Have a sniff. Very fresh, no? But beautiful. Okay? So that is core fat. So I'm not going to use that. Okay, this here, no good as well. We're going to remove this off out of here to the trash. I'm just going to clean it up a little bit, okay? First thing we do, and again, cutting away from myself. But I think you can see already how good that piece of meat's going to be.
Yeah.
When we expose it. Again, we'll remove it here. And all I'm doing here is getting ready to the fat on the back, okay? So I'll peel it down to the fat. And then I'll cut it off on its face like this. Okay, simply. You hear that nice crack? It's great to work when you're working with good meat, you know, it's a pleasure. So again, yeah. Okay, so that's the waste again. So no good. Okay, take this off here, and then I'm going to remove this black meat on the front. So we remove that. So again, what do we think? We have the texture, the line's going across here, okay? So what we want to be doing is, again, we'll cut across this way. Okay, and we're going to expose that really nice. Look at that. So this is our tri-tip, okay? So I'll leave that here for you. Go ahead and take a look at it. So that's our tri-tip. So again, it's got a lot of muscles up here, a lot of secondary muscles that are tough, okay? They've got a lot of gristle in there. So what we want to do is take them out, okay? So again, we want to follow the natural seam. Here. And we'll take it out, okay? I'll take the secondary one out as well. And again, really nice, peel it out. So again, it's okay for soup, it's okay for diced goulash, but not for prime meat. So you can see I've removed all of that muscle, the secondary muscle out there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to flip it over and we're going to remove the rump cap, which is here, okay, or the picanha or the taffel splits. And again, traditionally in a butcher shop you would have cut it this way, so this piece of meat is not good, okay, this way. So we're going to remove that now. And again, out through the natural muscle. Is that picanha or our rump cap? Thank you. Yeah, so again, I'm just going to trim off any excess fat here we don't need. Again, just remove all the fat off. You don't need it. It's no good. So again, you can see now what I'm doing is I'm exposing the meat fibers. You can see I'm starting to expose which way the meat is going, the grain.
You always go with the grain.
You can see the way this meat fiber is going this way. Can you see that now here?
Yeah.
So this meat fiber is going this way, okay? And then if we look, and we'll see the meat grain, and this piece is going across this way. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so in theory, if my philosophy is that we cut across like this, this part of the meat would be fantastic and this one wouldn't. You can see that there?
Yeah.
Because we're not directly going across it. So what we're going to do is we're going to separate those muscles out to give us what we need, okay? So again, remove that there. Again.
I just got asked a question.
Now what I'm going to do is here, there's a natural muscle seam wall along here.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate those two out, okay? Okay. So we also have a bit of bone skin here. I'm going to remove that as well. Okay, so here inside there's a natural piece of grizzle wall. Okay, you can see it here now. Look, I've exposed it. That's it there, look. Can you see that there?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to trim the meat along this wall and take that piece of grizzle out, okay? Yeah. So again, just gently. Expose that there. You can see it now? See it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do is remove all that out of there, okay? So
is that a technique that is usually done?
Just gently is the way you should really do it there, okay? So the technique is just take your time, okay? It's worth it just to take, you can see there, expose it, and just gently touch it with the knife, okay? Let the knife do the work. I'm not pushing it.
Yeah.
You can see here, I'm just pushing it off the wall, okay? And they've separated, okay? So we have one muscle. Now, I'm going to remove this muscle here now, this piece of grizzle wall here. I'm going to remove that now as well. So again, very simple stuff. You can almost see my knife through it there, okay? Okay, so that is thick, grizzly piece of meat, okay? So it doesn't matter what way you cut that, that's not going to be nice, okay? So we remove that. We're going to remove the dark cutting face off the front. Okay, which is gone. And then what we want to do is just remove any of this excess silver skin on here. You can see that nice texture there now. So we have a really nice muscle there now. Prime steak muscle. So let's cut a couple of steaks maybe. Okay. Okay, you see that there now?
Yeah.
That's really nice. And you can see the nice texture of the wall. Really nice piece of meat, okay? So we'll leave that there. So same with this piece now from the rump. So again, we're just going to remove that dark meat off the front there, okay? So, okay, it's gone. You can see it's hard. And now, if you remember what we were talking about earlier on, you can see the way the meat fibers are going this way, okay? If we cut this way, as you can see, you're nearly going in line with them, okay? So what we want to do is start her off across, okay?
Okay.
So we're going to put a little bit off there.
So it's
Okay.
always against the
Across.
cross.
So, in terms of texture, look how nicely together that is. And if we just pull it like this, look, gently, look how soft that is. Okay. They're almost like tenderloins.
They would look like that.
Yeah.
But it's got more.
It's got more texture because it's from the rump, but it is extremely tender.
Yeah.
It is extremely tender. It's a beautiful piece of meat. This is a rump pav steak.
How do you call it?
Pav, P-A-V-E, rump pav steak, P-A-V-E, rump pav steak. So again, I know lots of guys who would then roll this with cling film, shape it, maybe put some bacon on the outside,
Okay.
temper it, and then slice it. Okay, so in a sous vide, just bring it up to 55 degrees, vacuum pack it, bring it up to 55, put it in the water bath, bring it up to 55, when it comes off 55, take it out, put it in some ice, leave it. Then when it serves that evening, what I would do is again, put it back in the water bath until it comes up to 55, take it out of the bag, and then into just a nice hot pan with a little bit of butter, just butter.
Cool.
you've eaten nothing like it. It is an amazing piece of meat. But again, it's a piece of meat that people don't use, and you can see that there, it's like a tenderloin.
Yeah.
Now the last part of the rump is the picanha, okay, or tafelspitz. Okay, so again, all you want to do is remove the heavy fat off here and expose the meat. Okay, I'm just going to take this piece of fat off here. And again, just take all that heavy grizzle off, okay? It's important that you go the extra mile and you remove this stuff, okay? The customer will thank you for it, your teeth will thank you for it, and it's just a better eating experience, okay?
Yeah.
It's the difference between wow and it's okay. Okay, same again, take this piece of fat off out here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is, you can see how far the dry age has actually come in there. Okay, it's coming quite deep actually. It's almost to the tip of the knife. Look.
Yeah.
So it means we've got to cut a little bit more off. So it's so dry. It's so dry. It's almost like paper. It's that dry. Okay. Again, get that dry meat off there. Again, rubbish. If you remember, you can see now which way the grain is going. It's going this way, okay? So naturally we won't cut it this way. We're going to cut it this way, okay? That is the key to tafelspitz. That is the key to picanha. Okay, so we're going to cut across there now. Beautiful. Look at that. Whew.
Wow.
Yeah? Pretty good.
Yes.
Okay, so if I cut that one off, just to demonstrate, and we put it, and then what I'll do is, if you don't mind, I'll cut it this way and just show you the difference between the two. So if we look at this way, and you can see all the meat fibers going that way, and then if we look at this way, okay, there's a hell of a difference there. This way, soft. Look the way the meat is opening up in the texture. Look, see the holes? Beautiful. And then look at this. Last but not least, roast beef. Short loin, strip loin, faux fillet, T-bone. So again, all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to separate the meat away from the back spinal bone, and then we're going to go in the opposite direction, okay? So again, close to the bone. All the way down. Okay, so that's that separated now. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to remove it from these bones here, okay? So again, we always go to the highest point, which is here, and then work our way back. And again, slowly, we're not in a hurry, slow. And again, the knife is always close to the bones. Look. Always close to the bones. And again, close to the bones, close to the bone. All the way to the end, okay? Bone. Now, the highest point again is here, okay? So that's the highest point of the bone here. So for boning, for deboning, that's the highest point of the bone there. So I want to get the knife in there and work my way back, okay? So again. All the way back. Again, the bone is just here. And again, all the way back. I gotta turn it so I can see it, okay? And again, look at the way the knife is. The knife is always against the bones. It's not against the meat, look. Which is key, always against the meat. Always your hand here, away from the knife. And again, the control with my finger, down to the bone here, okay? So, just gonna separate it off there now. And there's always one or just 2 points on the whole thing when you're deboning it that is holding it all together, like anchor points. And once you hit those, like there, it's gone. Okay? So the bone has completely come away there. Okay? I'm gonna remove that bone out. Oops. Okay, so that's our bone. Gone. Someone asked me once about T-bones, you know, where does the T-bone come from? Well, if you think about it, this is the bone and this is the T, so this is where our T-bone comes from. The fillet is normally here, and then we have our piece of strip loin here. So this is where we get the T for the T-bone. So essentially we have a boneless T-bone, okay? And I think sometimes with chefs in particularly, you know, somebody tells them something once and they just remember that key word or that key moment. So, but they're all essentially the same thing. Okay, so you can see here, no scarring. Okay, sometimes you'll see in some strip loins, there's always a line where the guy was boning it out and he's penetrated the meat. Okay, you can see here, I haven't penetrated the meat. Okay, so that's a sign of a good butcher, I suppose. But it's also taking care. Okay, so a good butcher will never scar here. So again, solid meat. So again, we're just going to make this good. So all that bone tissue again is hard connective muscle wall. We're going to take that off. Okay. And for John Stone, everything is kitchen ready, okay? So it has to come into the chef's kitchen, ready to slice. There should be no more work except slice it.
Do you give workshops to chefs?
Yeah, I give workshops to chefs all over the world. I recently done one in the Hong Kong Soccer Club.
Really?
Yeah, and we deboned what we did here. Yeah. And you know, we give classes to chefs and just explain how to do new cuts. And I suppose the key thing I always say to chef, and it doesn't matter who the chef is, some of the best chefs in the world, it's always about resting the meat after cooking. If a piece of advice I give to everybody is rest, 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 rest. If you cook it for 6 minutes, let it rest for 6 minutes.
Do you think about the reverse method, where you first slow cook and then throw it on the grill?
That's fine for certain cuts, but for me, for the likes of the prime loin cuts like this, they don't need that, you know, not necessarily these cuts.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've removed all the silver skin here, okay, and I've removed the tail. The tail should be about a thumb thickness, okay? So you can see there, we have a thumb thickness, okay? I don't like a long tail, I like just a small little bit of tail. So about 20 mil, about your thumb thickness, okay? So we've cleaned that all back, okay? Now, again, depending where you buy it from, depending on the country, sometimes you buy product and that strip loin arrives just as it is, okay? And maybe there's a thick piece of grizzle along here, which is not prime meat, that needs to be removed, okay? So it's generally about 30 mils back, so it's generally about there, okay? So what I'm going to do is get the knife in there, and we're going to remove that thick piece of grizzle. Okay, all the way back. Okay, you can see it there, look at that thick, hard grizzle there. Nobody wants that on a steak, okay? So for me, that's got to come off, okay? It's got to come off. So again, take that off. Now you can see with the nice meat exposed here, trim a little bit of that off there. Now, the other thing is now, we've the end of the strip loin now, which is next to the rump. And primarily, every chef in the world hates this piece of meat. I've yet to meet a chef who loves this piece of meat. They all hate it. Why? It's got a thick piece of grizzle from one muscle connecting to another. It's generally at the end of a strip loin, it's generally 4 fingers, okay? It's never any bigger than that, but generally 4 fingers. But if you measure from the edge, 4 fingers, you can't go wrong. So what we do at John Stone is, in order to make a consistent product, we take it off, okay? Because nobody wants it. Chefs generally joke that they keep it for the guy who comes into the restaurants and wants a really well done steak, because he won't be able to notice the difference anyways, right? I beg the difference, say that he would notice the difference. So what we do is we're going to cut that. I'm going to show you now. I'm going to cut that off. So again, 4 fingers in, as you can see here, and we just cut that right off there. Okay. And if you can see, it's just at the end of where the muscle starts. You see that? Yeah. So here's a long, thick, thin piece of grizzle that gets considered to be thicker as you go along. So you can see we've encapsulated all of that piece in there. Okay, so I'm going to show you something about that. And now what we'll do is we'll cut a couple of steaks and just show you, okay? Yeah. So, and again, we pick a smaller animal at Johnstone, so you know, 160 kilos side weight, so 320 kilo carcass weight.
So what's that?
It's important because if the animal is too big, if the side weight is bigger, it means the muscle gets wider. Okay, so it means, for a steak point of view, it means you cut a thinner steak. If the animal is smaller, you can cut a thicker steak. So really the trend is, everywhere around the world, everybody likes a thick steak. Nobody likes a thin steak. So by controlling the size of the animal, you're able to get a good thick steak. So, you know. So normally with these, we used to just vacuum pack them in 4s and we'd sell them to whatever we could. And we decided one day that it was costing us too much money, we needed to do something really good with them. So, okay, so we come up with something ingenious, if you will. So we're going to take this chain off here.
Okay.
Go on, remove. Okay, that here is all marbling, okay? That's not grizzle, that's nice marbling. That is good, except that little piece there. That's a piece of bone skin. But everything else here is marbling, okay? It's a really nice piece of meat, but it's got a thick piece of grizzle. So, here's the piece of grizzle here. We're going to get down here now and just slowly, again, slowly, catch it here. Slowly. Slowly remove this fat, okay? All the way out. And you can see how tender it is, okay? But it's the big piece of grizzle that's in the middle there that makes it horrible. Okay, so again, follow that down. Slowly, slowly. We get to here and we just cut it off. Now, you can see the line, the moon shape of grizzle all the way along here. Can you see it?
Yeah.
It's in a half moon shape, okay? So what we want to do is take this second muscle off the top because we want to get to that piece of grizzle. So again, we're going to start up here because it's at the highest point of the depth of the meat, okay? And all I'm going to do is slowly expose that muscle, okay? Can you see it?
So if you just move your knife along this...
That's all I'm doing. Just moving when I'm not, there's no pressure here, right?
Yeah.
I'm just basically moving it along here. Okay, that's all. Look, keep exposing it, barely touching it until that comes off.
Is it working with every type of meat or just quality meat or aged meat?
Aged meat in general. If it's good quality meat, that you should be able to do that, okay? Now, two nice pieces of meat, but they can go for whatever. Okay, now we can see that piece of grizzle I was speaking about. You can see it here now?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the thick part here, it's quite tough. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to remove that. Now, so we want to remove this piece of grizzle because it's tough. Okay, so again, tip of the knife, nothing, no, but you can see the knife underneath there. Okay. Okay, now we expose the meat. We get a good grip on it because it's nice and thick. And again, slowly, gently, gently, gently. Always holding it, look. And against, if the knife slips, it goes this way, okay? Gently, 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 gently. We're off, okay? Now, look at that.
Wow.
Okay, look at that marbling, okay? And this piece of grizzle is hiding it, okay? So we take that piece of grizzle off and, oh,
whoa.
Oh mama. Yeah, nice piece of meat, right? But this, horrible, okay? So we take that off. Now, look what we've got.
Liaison.
We've got a beautiful piece, so we can do a few
Wagyu.
things. Wagyu. Again, we just cut it in half. And we've got two beautiful bistro steaks. So you can imagine now putting that onto the grill. Beautiful. Look. Look. Beautiful. So this is the bistro steak.